Greetings and blessings to each and every one of you. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. I pray that you'll have a good weekend this um, Labor Day weekend, this being Saturday morning, 9/5, yes, 2020. So, um, this needs to be discussed in necessarily a short manner or whatever, but in watching things and noticing trends and so forth, as I am apt to do and is my job. Hi, Brick. Morning, Chief. To you as well. I've been up making a late night stew and I just got done eating. Hope you're well there, Brick. Um, and it's good too. It's going to be even better tomorrow when it sits overnight. But anyway, in waiting for the stew to finish up and going through some things, and it came across my vision, if you will. Everyone talks about free will, and they want to manifest this, and we are all gods, and yeah, okay. We have to understand that we are spiritual being. I'm good, thank you, Brick. Just had some really good stew. Anyway, uh, yum yum. Forgive my smacking of the lips, but with everyone is born with free will. Now, those of us in the Catholic religion and depending on the Christian religion, you're supposedly born with an original sin, and I just have never bought into that. I just can't see how a person born here on this planet has somehow got some kind of sin attached to him or her, them. And so, but we're born with free will to do with what we want. However, we have to take into consideration our values, our mores, where we grew up, how we grew up, what type of environment, what kind of school we went to. I mean, all of these things build who we are, who we eventually become. And we have the free will of choice in our life to accept or reject things. I mean, in the Catholic religion, why I got out of the Catholic Church early, well, one was the pedophilia part, but the other part was that there were too many things that when I asked questions in my good Catholic school catechism, like, well, what about this or what about that? And the answer was always, you must have faith. Well, it's a secret of the Catholic Church. It's the secret. You have to believe. It's a mystery. Okay, it's a divine mystery. Well, free will dictates to us that we can accept or reject the catechism that the Catholic Church tried to force upon me for so many years, and they succeeded up to a point. And there are still many of my friends who are devout Catholics, even though the Catholic Church has changed so radically. Last time I went to a mass, I was like, what the hell is this mess? But anyway, the free will. But so we have free will. There are thugs out on the street that have the free will to break in and hold up a liquor store or a convenience store or whatever. It's their free will, right? But with that free will comes a moral responsibility. And the moral responsibility is what shapes us and is who we are. And so we can say, well, yes, I have free will. Okay, so to people who discuss, well, I am a creator, I can manifest things. Well, I have to ask this question. What is your moral responsibility in this? Then people will say, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm going to, well, you think you're a God and you think that you can manifest anything and that you're a creator. So what in this gives you the right, the moral responsibility to create anything other than what is necessary for you to survive in this world and to get through this life and achieve knowledge and learn value and all these wonderful things. It's the life experience is the reason we're here, one of the main ones. So if we don't experience anything, then what was our life's major value at the end of all of this, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to become president of some organization or you have to be the leader or anything like that. That's not what I mean. If you're just a good person and people around you like you for who you are and you understand what moral responsibility means. So you have the free will to tell somebody to, bug off or say, have a nice day, or we have free will. So, but with that free will comes great responsibility. And this is my humble opinion. Bye, Brick. Talk to you later. The idea, though, that we, with our free will, we can do whatever we want to. But there are so many different choices. And there's so many different paths and so many different things with that free will. But one needs to sit down and ask. So then what am I moral? Do I have any moral responsibilities? There are some people that I know that go, what the hell is a moral responsibility? What the hell is moral? What does that mean? Well, morality is defined, we think, there's a broad spectrum. There are some families who are raised to where nudity is not an issue. There are some families who are raised where polygamy is okay. There are some families who are raised Muslim and jihad is okay. There just, it goes on and on and on. So we say it's our free will. But with that free will, there's all these other things. Who are we? And where are we now in this present state of mind and spiritual experience? So we have to look at it and go, well, wait a minute. So that person has a free will to, blow up a bus, or this person has the free will to start a food bank, and this person has the free will to do this or that. So our moral responsibility for this, and it is a great responsibility, because if you believe that we are creators, if you believe that you can manifest things, then you must sit down with yourself and say, well, okay, what are my moral values? And what are my moral values, not just within the Christian group or this group or that group or whatever, but what are my values compared to the planet? And let's even go another step further. What about the universe? There are beings on other planets and other areas and spaces. They have free will too. So if one of them wants to come down here and eat us, that's his or their free will, right? Or if they think that they're higher beings than us and they feel that that's their free will, what is their moral compass? So you say, well, there are people who still live in the jungles of South America and other places. And you say, so what are their moral values? Well, I learned about some Native American tribes back in the day, that there were 4 different tribes of this particular group. And it was commonly known from the time children were born that you don't intermarry. And if you do intermarry, no children between this group and this group, or this group and this group, A, B, C, or D. I can't remember what it was, but the basic idea is that if a child was born from that, they would literally take the child out onto the ice and leave it, period. Just take this baby and put it out on the ice. And I said, what? And they were like, but it kept their tribe genetically pure, in the sense that Intermarrying between two groups is almost like marrying your cousin, or a brother or sister, damn near. So from that point, they understood, well, you just can't do this. It's morally wrong for these. You might love each other, but you can't do this. It's for the benefit of the tribe. Now there are those who I've talked with over the years, and they're like, as much as it sounds heartless, those two people knew better, and they were warned, and so there were laws, but these laws weren't just laws of convenience, or trying to keep one person from another. It was the moral responsibility of the tribe to ensure that the bloodlines didn't get mixed up, and there were kids with 3 eyeballs and 4 ears, or whatever, or no limbs or something like that. There was a higher purpose and a sense to it. Now, I still have issues with taking baby out on the ice and leaving it, but they had their ways. So in that respect, their moral responsibility, you say, well, they had free will. Yeah. Well, the two people that had the baby had free will. Yeah. They knew the consequences. Well, maybe they thought they could get away with it or whatever. But the idea is that in that moral circumstance, the morality of taking that baby out and putting it on the ice and leaving it, that was the good thing. That was what needed to be done, regardless of how the rest of us might feel about it, or how the two people involved felt about it. It was the moral responsibility. Okay. So, but did that baby have any free will? He didn't have a choice, or she, or they, you know what I mean? So it's like we have free will up to a point concerning laws and regulations, regardless of where we live on this planet, unless you're on a deserted island somewhere. There are, and then there are still rules, the rules of nature, and high tide, low tide, sunshine, daylight, rain, tornado, hurricanes, and so there are natural laws. So we have the free will, but so does the rest of the universe have a free will. What? Yes. So the rest of the universe has a free will, and we have to understand that it is our moral responsibility to do the best that we can under our circumstances. We need to look at other people's free will. There's people down in Mexico that work for the drug cartel. They have a free will, so they can go out and shoot people up, sell drugs, and do what they do, rape, kill, maim, whatever. And to them, it's okay. Now, not all Mexican people feel that way, and that's you can't say it's any one particular group. The mobsters back in the day, there are still mobsters, and some of the Teamster unions and so forth are still pretty bad. And many of you don't remember the days of Jimmy Hoffa and some of the stuff that went on. My pops told me that he actually met Jimmy Hoffa one time as a steward for the Amalgamated Meat Cutters back in the day. Hello, Delaney Pearl. How are you? I know it's early or late, or depending on what it is, but I was up eating stew and making a really good smelling stew, and this idea came through. So greetings and blessings to you out there. I hope everything is all right in your end. But with free will, so all these folks that are out on the street, and it's not just black folk, it's white people. They're instigators that are doing this stuff, now, and the rioting and the thising and the thating. They have the free will, but they're not using any moral responsibility. And good, Delaney. Life is pretty good here too, fair to middling. I can't wait for cool weather though. Oh my God, I'm ready for summer to be over. It was like 97 in the shade today with 104, 105 heat index. It's really nasty, but hey, it's September. By the end of the month, we should be getting some cooler weather, I hope. All the bugs are trying to move into the house. The ants are moving, so they know the fall is coming. Anyway, So with free will, we could say, well, I could do any damn thing I want to. Yes, you can, but where is your moral obligation? Now, again, Southerners grow up a certain way, eating grits and collard greens, and there are folks in other parts of the country that go, "What's a collard green and what's a grit?" A grit is something that's part of sandpaper, right? But anyway, so and I live down here in the South, and I still can't eat grits. I'm sorry, and there are other folks that just love them. I can't eat them, but anyway. If I had to, I'd eat it with milk and sugar, more like cream of wheat. But anyway, and there are folks down here that won't eat cream of wheat. Anyway, but that's sort of what I mean. People within a state, the northern part of Georgia and the southern part of Georgia, they're both Georgia, but they ain't the same. Oh my God, them North Georgians. Now I don't mean all of them, but some of them have really got their nose stuck up in the air because we live up in the mountains and we're better off. And anyway, you Southerners down there, and it's like, hey, you're still within the confines of the state of Georgia, but a lot of damn Yankees in North. Well, there are a lot of damn Yankees in Georgia. Anyway, let me get on with this. But my point is, you can go to a different town down here, and the atmosphere is different. The morals are different. How they were raised, and it's just 50 miles up the road. You cross the line over into Florida, and you go, well, that's only 60, 70 miles south of me, but the people have a different attitude, and it's like, we're so close geographically, but in that, just in 50 miles, 100 miles, them folks down in Tallahassee act totally different than them folks up here in South Georgia. It's just not the same. Now, some of some of them old Florida crackers, okay, that live in the country and they're similar to us, but it's still Florida and we're in Georgia. And you say, well, there's just an imaginary line, but people on either side of that line act differently. So their free will is different, what they feel they can get away with or what they can do, whatever. So just look across the planet and go, wait a minute now. So we all have free will, yes, but we also have a different set of values that be of value, a whole set of different type of values. And so it affects what we believe is our free will. So, a Catholic, he's got 10 commandments and he's got this and all these church rules and blah, blah, blah. So he's got free will as long as he stays within the guidelines, color inside the lines. So, but with that said, though, is my right to free will any better or worse than someone else's? It depends on your point of view. It depends on your perspective. It depends on how you grew up and what your moral values and everything is. Alex, how are you? Free will, but not free of the consequences of the choice. Cheers. Exactly. And hi back at you, Alex. So it's like there are many people who are stressing free will. And it's my personal opinion, of course, but that they don't have any moral values to go with it. And so this video is not so much to condemn anyone, not at all, but these people really believe that they believe this stuff. I mean, there are some of these Democrats now, and I just absolutely do not agree with these folks anymore. And I listen to the rhetoric, and it makes me physically ill. And I'm like, I just would not have thought that this would have been possible, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago. Yeah, we went through the election. So, but the idea though that it's just gotten worse, well, you have the free will to do this, but you better not do that. So then there are people who are going beyond their moral values and going out in the street because they have, and it's, we have free will. We have freedom of choice. We can manifest. We can do blah, blah, blah. So we can go burn and be, be Vikings or whatever and pillage. And it's just like, actually, the Democrats didn't create the KKK, but because there are some factions of the KKK still down here where I live. But anyway, we won't go there. There are a lot of Republicans that are members of that particular group. Now, back in the day, yes, during the civil riots and all that stuff, but the Democratic Party has changed. But anyway, let's leave that out. It was a bunch of pissed off Southerners that started the KKK. Anyway, seriously. But some of these families are still alive and well down here in the South. It kind of scares me in a way, but they're very polite about it. But, Isby, how are you? Good morning to you as well. Good evening. But anyway, but yeah, there were a lot of Democrats who were KKK. But I'm saying there were some Republicans in there too. It didn't really matter. But anyway, but I think the reason I say that is because it's more in how you were raised. It was people who were pissed off who joined the KKK. They were pissed off at the North. They were pissed off at the fact that, their slaves were being turned loose, and not everybody felt that way. And, I remember back in the day when I first came up here to Georgia, I had a black and orange polka dot shirt with a surfer cross. And I got off the bus in Homerville, Georgia. And oh my God, I got out in an alley in the back of a Rexall drugstore. You talk about culture change back in, let's see, it would have been about 66, I guess, maybe 65 was my first trip to Georgia like that. So, but, met a lot of rednecks along the way, met a lot of folks, short hair. My hair was really short because I attended Catholic school. But I came up here to South Georgia and my hair was too long. And I had a polka dotted shirt on and I had a surfer cross. So, but anyway, things have lightened up a lot since then, but there's still a lot of that old KKK type of culture down here. They don't wave it around much, but these folks are gun toting. Now they're Republicans. Just say it. Alex, what you can say? Yeah, I'm sure there are Republicans. I understand the Democratic Party created because the Republican Party was started by 140 blacks and 20 whites. So with this, though, the bottom line in all of this is where you grew up, how you were raised, what the people in your town were like. So when you have the free will to do something, lynching was a big deal back in the day down here, because they had the free will and 10 people would get together and go hang a black person or a white person, but and the free will of the white master, the massa, and all those little mulatto children that are running around down here in South Georgia because they impregnated all the black, the young black women back in the day, the coloreds, as they called them, the niggas, and that was the polite term if they actually liked somebody. But anyway, and I have met in played and worked with some of these old generations of black folk. And it seems like those who have deeper roots understand that they're glad it ain't the way it used to be. Whereas there's another group of a generation of blacks who think that they should get everything. And, it isn't just black or white or whatever. There's some Mexicans that I know that I could go on a tirade for over 2 hours, and how they have been taking advantage of the American system. But it's the attitude of the people. It's the thug mentality. It isn't that these folks, they're dumb because nobody stopped to back them up. Maybe daddy was an alcoholic. Maybe this person was that. But there are white people that had, alcoholic fathers and mothers or brothers, sisters. And it isn't just that it was in the black community. But because it is the black community, all of a sudden it becomes an issue. Now, as that is an issue, that becomes a moral value to them. Well, we was wronged in the past, and Granny's sitting over there in the corner going, "Shut up, boys! Go to school and learn something." We had to have school at nighttime with a candle in the barn, and you're complaining because you don't, well, I don't need to go to school. I'm a thug. And Granny's sitting over in the corner going, "Shame on you people," and it's like they're the same family, or distant cousin or whatever. And I've been to some of these, 150 people. I love going to a black family reunion. You used to do puppet shows and storytelling, and was hired to go. And the food! Oh my God, it's so good. But the idea, though, that these folks have a different moral value than white people. And people say, "Well, I don't know." Listen, if you have ever gone and hung out with other folks like I have, my son, and well, I say folks around me because I was doing puppet shows. It doesn't matter what color or race or whatever you are. And it didn't really necessarily matter about the money. It mattered whether or not you respected my art and you wanted something good for the kids and all that. So anyway, but the idea, though, that I met and chatted with some of these folks, and they're like, what is going on with this generation of people? And so we didn't raise them like that. I didn't raise my grandchildren to be as obnoxious and, however they are right now. But it's their free will to be who they are, but we didn't train them that way. We did our best to give them some type of moral value and to show honor and respect. And it's just not happening. So when people say, "I have the free will, I am a creator, I am a God, I am a this or that," and you go, just ask them politely, "So what are your moral values concerning this? Would you consider putting a baby out on the ice? Would you consider, well, that bunch of population over there, regardless of color, we don't like them. We're going to get rid of all the old people. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." Well, it would be better for the United States if we didn't have all this, and homeless people. Let's just all herd them into a place and drop them off somewhere. And let's just forget them. Let's just all pray that they all, get hungry and die or get some disease or, I've heard some of these people talk about this because, well, there's too many people and this is how we're going to deal with it. And what do we do? There's homeless and there's this and there's that. Well, let's turn it into a war. That's what everybody usually does. It's a war on poverty. It's a war on drugs. It's a war on insanity. Let's think about this. So those people who are the higher muckety mucks who think they know better than we do, they have the free will to make stupid laws and to stand behind these stupid things because they think it's the free will of the people. It's their free will to stand behind it and, "Oh, look at me, and I'm standing for this and that and the other thing." When actually they're not really looking at the moral value. For example, the idea that marijuana is still illegal across the United States, and that people are getting jail time for this stuff for possession is absolutely ludicrous, stupid beyond belief. And people need to just, I thought it was going to be okay by now. People are taking a better look and a different view, but it's our morals and our values. And go, well, I got the free will to smoke a joint if I want to, but the cops have the free will to break down my door and arrest me for it too. Well, wait a minute. And they have, they flew over my property with helicopters and drugged me through the briars, literally. I know how the Viet Cong felt when them helicopters were overhead. Let me tell you, no wonder they wanted to kill all them GIs. Anyway. But see, free will. I could have had the free will to shoot down that helicopter that was over my property, because in my estimation, ain't my property my thing. But you have the right to fly something over me and look and see what I'm doing and go, wait a minute, I think he's doing something against the law down there. We're going to go get him, boys. And that's what they did. And they've done it to other people. I'm not the only one. But the idea, though, that it's only blacks that are picked on, it's only Mexicans that are picked on, it's only these people. Now, everybody gets picked on at some point, one way or the other. It's their free will over ours. Now, my free will says that I better not plant anything else in my backyard, because there's a great big X on the map. Once a year at least, helicopters fly over my backyard and just kind of hover and look around. A lot of trees now that there weren't back then. So, and I'm not growing anything anyway, but the idea, though, that I have the free will, I have property, I would like to be able to grow a little bit of cannabis for my own personal use. I'd like to be able to grow cannabis as a crop, because, 1 acre, I've done the research, and 1 acre of it, when I've got, 6 or 7 acres up here that could be plowed, I could grow an acre of hemp and help out with everything, get 2 or 3 crops a year down here in the South. And it would help the nation, and it would make me a little money, and that would be enough to pay my property tax once a year. But no, it's got to be against the law, all these regulations. So my free will is out the window. Well, I could still try it, right? I could still try to manifest it. I could still try to create it, but there are rules. So our exercise of free will, we must look at the natural laws of things, and we got to look at our local and state laws and whatever before we can actually exercise our free will. There was a fellow years ago that was a suspected pedophile, and possibly had even this young lady disappeared, and the last person that she was with was old man Crosby. Now he's dead now, but to the point, though, I literally wanted to choke him. I wanted to kill him. I've never really wanted to do that to anybody but this man, and I had my hands on his throat. And I realized that, listen, I can't do this. It's more my free will. And even though I'm pretty sure he's a nasty SOB, and he might, but then I'm putting myself on his level. My free will is overriding his free will. They did some research in this in deputies, and they never, I don't think they ever found the woman, but, and they never accused him. And I'm glad that the old bugger's dead now. But the idea, though, that his free will to take folks for a ride and do whatever, and debauchery, just plain and simple. So their free will, and it's like, it's okay, we can take these people off. And if that little girl wants to get in the car and, and drive off down the road, well, it isn't that simple. So before we go slinging around terms, well, I have free will. Yes, you do. But within a prison circumstance, there are rules and regulations. You can move somewhere else where the rules and regulations are different. If you want to have two or three wives and move to another state or country, or don't tell anybody, but scream religious persecution, for them folk. But um, what we consider our free will, we really need to look spiritually and inside and go, hang on, let me do a moral compass check. Well, it's okay, folks down here in the South, we hang them niggers when they look at our white women. That we don't think twice about it. That's the way it was back then. So, but now they don't do that. The morals have changed, um, which I think is a good thing. Hanging people around and whatever. But the idea, though, that we need to look at our moral compass and go, let me check this out. I have the free will to do this, but should I? Well, if you're feeding the homeless or something like that, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But there are people who are doing questionable things, and the Antifa crowd and the Black Lives Matter folks, and you can stand up and say, listen, all lives matter. I'm with that. Old people, white, black, green, yellow, purple, it don't matter. Old people's lives matter. How many folks are worried about old people? Well, they're old, they're going to die. What the hell, right? So why should we really care? Well, they cared about you when you was younger. All the old people in the nursing homes and whatever, they were the ones that built the country. They're the ones that built the houses. They're the ones that built the infrastructure. We should respect these folk. And I mean older than me, and I'll be 68 in a couple of weeks. 68 years old, oh my God. But anyway, in this idea of free will, we must also take responsibility. Otherwise, when we get to the other side, I think there's going to be some surprises. I'm not saying that you're going to hell or this or that, but I just feel that there's going to be some surprises, because bad people who do bad things all the time and think that it's correct. Now, there are folks who grew up as cannibals, and hey, let's eat grandma when she's dead. And it was a sign of respect. And they would bury the elders in the floor in the house, and it's like, I wouldn't do it. But there are those folks, they grow up like that. And it's, the Mexican people have this, Day of the Dead. It's the day after Halloween. And they celebrate, all of their ancestors and their grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts, uncles, and people that they've known and loved. And they light candles and set out food for them. And, and there are millions of people who do this. So it's not just like, well, it's just a fad. No, they're giving honor to the dead. We Americans don't do that kind of thing. We just don't. We party, have a good time, but do we have a Day of the Dead, a day of remembrance? No. So I think that there are other cultures who have values and moral values and responsibilities, if you will, to say, hey, we think this is important. The rest of y'all don't get it and you don't understand it, but we understand it. Our values, our morals, our mores. We say, we want to honor these people. It's our free will to light a candle for Grandpa Jones and leave. He loved his he loved his cornbread. So you put a little piece of cornbread out when you light the candle in honor of Grandpa Jones. So is there anything wrong with that? No, but there are things that some people do and some societies do, religious, otherwise, due to their moral values. Now that the whole planet is woke up, we can look at the values around the world and go, you know what? I grew up like this, and I think this value stinks. I consider the fact that I was born with an original sin an abomination to the name of Jesus Christ because he died for our sins. But yet I'm born with an original sin. And I have to suffer like Jesus did in order to win back my immortal soul. No, I do not agree with that. I don't agree with that. I was not born with an original sin. They put that lie into my head, and I was born as pure as anybody else because we are brand new souls brought into this life. And unless there's some kind of reincarnated evil, and that happens, then no, we don't have an original sin. And this is all a construct of man to change our free will, to bend our free will, to keep our free will from manifesting our own spirituality. How do we manifest that? We study other religions, we study other peoples, we study other cultures, and we look at them and go, now that's interesting over there. I wouldn't eat a lizard or monkey brains, but y'all go, you go for it. But there are some things like I didn't think I liked Mexican food until I had some real Mexicans cook some real Mexican food. Oh my God, it's delicious, and hot. Still can't eat a jalapeno pepper, but I was getting into some of that stuff, and I was like, burned my mouth and went back for thirds. I'm telling you, which is, for this old white boy, it was a change, but it, having nothing to do with Taco Bell or anything like that. Wonderful dishes that are, with Mexican decor anyway. But to the point though, if I'd have said, well, all Mexican food tastes like Taco Bell, that's wrong. When you taste real Mexican food, not in a restaurant somewhere. Now, there are some good Mexican restaurants, but when you get a home cooked meal, oh man, you go, what? Yeah, we eat like this all the time. Really? You don't eat tacos all? No, man, the burritos, refried beans, So it's an affront to us. It's like people around the world think that, McDonald's hamburgers is all that we eat over here, and French fries, having nothing to do with the French. But the idea, though, that how we grow up and how we react. So I would say now that we can look at all these different cultures, we have the free will to check them out. We don't have to believe them, but we should look because it may change our moral compass and go, you know what? Those people over there, they have a whole day that they celebrate their dead, their grandpas, their grandmas, their aunts, their uncles. Maybe I want to do that, you know? Now, in Catholic, the day after Halloween is All Saints' Day. And depending on where in France or in, sometimes it lasts 3 days. And it's the remembrance of the dead and the saints and the this. But Roman Catholics here in the United States, it's the day that you go to church because you're told to, All Saints. So they don't, it's not about, oh, well, let's talk about the saints. Yeah, but what about grandma who died last year? Well, we don't talk about grandma. We're going to talk about the saints. So they limit it. They limit our free will thinking. So keep your mind open to all possibilities. Ask the Creator, ask yourself, ask the universe, is this really right? Whatever it is. Yes, I have the free will to say it, do it, or whatever, but what are the consequences? Are you going to hurt anybody in the process? Hopefully not. Are you going to piss somebody off? Maybe, but maybe it'll open their eyes. But at the same time, though, should I say something or should I not? Should I discuss this? Should I punch this person in the face or not? I got the free will, but it don't mean it's right. So I say that for each of us, when we look at these people doing things out there, it's their free will. It's their right to do this. But we can absolutely ask the question, what are the moral values of the people doing these things? What do they intend to get out of this? Now, do I want to hurt them, kill them, because that's what they're trying to promote? Do I want to go into their neighborhood and riot and burn down their house? No, because that's not morally correct. But at the same time, those of us who have this moral correction look at this stuff and go, what the hell's going on with these people? They've got a free will to change things, and the change they want is through destruction. The change they want is through hurting other people or bringing other things down, and all white people are bad, and it's like, wait a minute, if you knew how many other cultures of people that I've known over my years, I'd be the only white person at huge big black family reunions down here, because I had many friends of mine that I hung out with and played music with and got high with and gardened and worked and they would invite me. There weren't any other white people there, and I felt privileged because I could fit in and hang out with them. And they didn't go, there's a white guy in the group, he's the token white guy. No, because I knew many of these people growing up down here in Thomasville, and some of them were dickheads and some of them were the politest, nicest people you ever want to meet. But to my white friends, they go, what you hanging around with them black folk for? What you trying to prove? Nothing. I went to their family reunion because I know a bunch of them. And I went to a party and I took some puppets. We played some music. We did some stuff. And I sort of went as an entertainer, but I went because I liked these folks and they invited me. Oh, but you must have had some other kind of... No, I went because they're nice people. And we should look at things like that. Maybe we don't understand people because we've never met them. We've never sat down and had supper with them. We've never talked about other things. Well, they're white, they're black, and they're purple, and they're green, and they're from the north, and they're from the south, and you're from India, and you're from Pakistan, and you're from... So who gives a damn? Now that this planet is waking up, let's stop with this petty differences. Use our free will to go, you know what? I'm going to be less prejudiced. I'm going to do my best to be less prejudiced. Now, sometimes I see some black thugs hanging around down in the hood, and I go, why don't them folks, get a grip? But then I see some white kids hanging out, and acting like thugs. And I go, why don't them? It ain't got nothing to do with the color. You understand? It has to do with how they react. There's a guy up on the hill, and his grandpa, I guess it is, would be, is a couple of years older than me. So he's probably 70 years old. And country music and, old country music, and, some old rock and roll maybe. But his grandson comes in playing rap and the boom, ba boom, ba boom. And from up there on the hill, you can hear the whole house vibrates when his grandson shows up at the house. So in those generations, he don't listen to country music, but he's all into the black culture and the thug this and the thing that and the rap this, and talking like, yo, man, and, and it's like, what? So there are a lot of white boys down here that are emulating the black thugs. It's their free will. They can do what they want, but it's like, oh my God, if great grandpa had heard them do that, they'd have lynched their own kin. Just say it. But that's how much things have changed. But with that attitude, though, there's some of these white thugs. They're like, yo, man, the institution, and yo, man, this and that, and it's this and that, and blah, this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hang on. Where has your moral compass gone? I don't care if you listen to rap music or whatever, or hip hop or something, but to get this attitude that all women are hoes. Wait a minute. What happened to the Southern gentleman, the genteel side? Well, there are women who are just as bad. And I go, wait a minute, what happened to the Southern women? the Southern Belle. Not to say that everybody should act all prim and proper. That's not what I mean. They were more polite. Now it's like F you and I'll smack. These are the women, right? And they wonder why they can't find a decent man because they beat them up. That's why. Delaney, heart. I bet you've got a lot of that same kind of issues, don't you, Delaney? You know, people have called me prejudiced over the years, and I go, you have not a clue the amount of, and I hate to say it's black folk, but you know, because I've known some Pakistanis and some Indian folk. I've known people from Australia and Britain, but now there are mostly these large black families down here. And you know, I went to I went down towards Lake City one time. It was a 2-hour drive one way. And these folks had an old farm down there, a nice house, big place, had set up all kinds of stuff, fed me and my friend Serge, who passed away recently. We went down and did puppet shows for these folks all day long. And we hung out, and we were just like part of the tribe. You know, there was a couple of folks who would point over there at us white boys, but everybody else was so polite because we were polite. We didn't see color. Color was not a part of our thing. If you were an asshole, that threw up a red flag. Delaney says, have you seen any of my latest videos? No, I haven't. I've been going in on lack of morals. Good. No, I haven't, Delaney. Having issues with this new computer and some things, but anyway, plus I'm trying to do some outside work and get some stuff done. But anyway, I haven't. I'll try to check yours out. But good for you. The idea, though, that we have the free will to change. We have the free will to look at other people's morals, values, and opinions. But if we only take our opinion and say, look, mine's the only way, I'm trying to get you folks, think about this. It's my point of view, but use this. Do you need to follow me? Do you want, I've never asked for you to like or to share, and I thank you for you do. And I've picked up 2 new subscribers this last 2 days. Thank you all very much. But the idea, though, that I want a club or that we're going to all follow a certain pattern. No, the pattern I want us to follow is open-mindedness. Yes, we have the free will to choose, but let's make the right choices. Let's look at the overall scope of things and go, I really want to go down and demonstrate, but there are people down there that are going to want to fight, kick, scream, cuss, and otherwise start a riot. I ain't going. Now, back in the day, I'd been to some demonstrations. Back when it seemed like Black lives really did matter, you know, from the 60s and the riots and the race and this and the stuff that was going on, you know, and now I don't see the same thing. And Delaney, I bet you probably agree with me. There's some folks that I know that are my age, late 50s, early 60s, mostly those of us in our 60s, because we remember the 60s, you know. We remember. I mean, I was coming to South Georgia when Albany was having race riots, and Tampa had demonstrations, and I was in a demonstration and almost got nabbed by the cops, and a great big huge white boy threw me in the back of a Simca. Well, that was a trip. But anyway, the idea, though, that we weren't trying to start a fight, but the cops were. And anytime anybody wanted to assemble back in the 60s, you automatically got your head bashed in and kicked in. You're a hippie, you're a nigger lover, you're a, blah, blah. Oh, I said the N word. Oh my God. But, that's what you were called. And so it's like, so I had black friends in high school. My grandmother owned a store on the corner of 22nd and Osborne. I wouldn't go down there now. But back in the day, the blacks lived on one side of Osborne, and on the other side was it was mixed with Cuban and whites and blacks, and nobody fought, nobody stole anything from the store. The people that came in, we respected, and we were the white owners. And there wasn't any problem. I sat on the and would sweep the corner there of the store and sit on the bench and wave at people and how you doing, Miss Margaret, and hey, Mr. John, how you doing? They'd come in the store and buy stuff. And my grandma, she, the one that I talk about so much as being such a gracious lady, she would let some of these people have stuff on credit, and she never was like, you owe your bills due. If it say, she never ever. Now there were a couple of times that things got a little out of hand, and they'd say, well, we can't give you any more credit. You got to pay up, and Grandma'd still let them slide because she was that kind of a person. And what was a bologna? What was some bologna or a can of beans or something, whatever? Well, Miss Mary, I don't have enough money. Well, okay, I'll put it down here in the book. Well, I'll get it to you. I promise I will. And some of them people did promise. And some of them people just absolutely couldn't. Way back before there was any food stamps. Now, they did have commodities, but anyway. But the idea that our morals have changed, our values have changed, but our core values should actually have gotten more clearer. That's the wrong thing to do. We shouldn't go around and be beating people up. The folks who are claiming that all of us white people have some kind of extra sensory privilege. We have white privilege. I wished I had just a little bit of privilege over my lifetime. I've worked my ass off, and for slave labor, and don't tell me that there was any privilege because of my color. Bananas. I couldn't get in school because they had to have a quota. What? Oh, don't talk about that. Well, yeah, well, we gotta have so many, blacks and Indians and Chinese, and we can't take you. But I qualify, yeah, but we haven't met our quota. Hiring that way too. Well, we can't hire you because we don't have enough blacks working here. Now you say, well, wait a minute, what's that got to do with it? Everything. You couldn't find somebody that was qualified in the black community, but there were white people who couldn't get a job, even though they were qualified, because they had to meet the quota. And you say, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? If there isn't anybody qualified, but you got to have so many in your company, then isn't that discrimination against the rest of us? Oh, well, we can't talk about that now. That's just out of the question. No, I'm trying to be practical here. You know how many black machinists there are? Very few down here in the South. Mechanics, a few more. But if all of the machinists that go to school and have got a degree are white, but all of a sudden now you got to come up with X amount of black folk or somebody, nobody gets hired. And the person who's running the business goes, it ain't my fault I can't find any black machinists. It's not my fault. We tried. We're going to hire them and we'll do this. And we send them to school for free. And I didn't get to go to school for free. The company wasn't going to pay me. So it's like reverse discrimination. It's like that's happened a lot down here. And now there are no machine shops. But to the point, simply because there weren't enough people available to go into particular manufacturing setting, shouldn't have kept other people just because of our own color. I was born this way because my parents were both white. That's all. Or Native American anyway. So my complaint about that is, wait a minute, all of us have been somehow rejected from society. Our free will has been manipulated or sideswiped, or they've made laws to make our free will not free will. So but we can still have free will within our own morality. Should we go out and start a fight? Should I go calling people names? Should I get on the internet and call everybody names this, that, and the other thing. No. But should I get on here and try to bring a little bit of levity to the situation? Oh, please. You know, um, for the white people who called me, and the black people who called me prejudiced, if you'd met my friends who were of the same nationality and skin color as you, if you had met them, they'd kick you in the head because they would tell you, Mr. Dave ain't got he ain't prejudiced. We wouldn't invite him if he was, and so, but you don't know who I am. You don't know my life. You don't know the people that I've known in my lifetime. So I'm just a face on YouTube, but and that people can call names to. But at the same point, it's like, but you know what? It's how you live. It's the people that you know. The people that I know and who know me, they know me. I'm not prejudiced. I would help a black person maybe quicker than a white person. But anyway, in, in fact, I gave some money to a black man the other day at the store. And it was like, well, thank you, sir. He goes, I need $1.60. I don't know what he needed $1.60 for. He said, but if you got $2, he said, I could really use it. And I was like, oh, man, every time I go somewhere, somebody, and then Spirit touched me and said, he's not a bum. Yes, he's black. He's an old black man. He's probably my age, maybe, and he's 60s. And he really hated it. I could tell he was a little bit embarrassed, but maybe because my truck's all messed up and I got long hair and I'm an old hit, he could approach me and go, I need $2 if you got it. And I looked up and went, okay, I got $2, and I do. It didn't really matter. So I went into the store and came back out. And he goes, Mister, you just don't understand that $2. I really need it, and I just want to thank you. And I told him, I said, okay, then pay it forward. Next time you give somebody $2. And he was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was like, have a great day. So not to say that I'm special, but how many other people did he walk up to and say, I need $1.50 or $1.60? And if you got $2, that'd be nice. He wasn't asking for 5 or 10. I didn't ask him what it was for. But he said, God bless you, mister. God bless you. As I was getting in the truck and me and the dog was riding off into the sunset. And that was just, a week or so ago. So we have the opportunities to use our free will. I could have said, no, man, go get a job or blah, blah. I could have been and I gave him $2. That we have the free will to accept or reject, whether or not we want to participate or not, whether we want to do this or that, whether we want to just, be buttholes or whether or not we want to try to be decent human beings. It's our free will, but it does come with great responsibility. And my prayer is this. It's that the people who are using their free will right now, that is contrary to a lot of us, I'm going to pray that they will understand their moral values, that Creator will go, hey, y'all down there doing this stuff, pay attention. I don't want them to have their free will taken away, but I would love for them to have some enlightenment in the moral area, the moral compass area. So I'm going to pray for that. Do I want them to change their mind? I would like for them to at least reflect on the things they're doing. That's my wish. Do I want to change things? I would like for them to change things. I would like for them to change their own mind and use their own free will. But I would like for them to see something that jumps up at them and go, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this. Even though I can, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe there's a different way around this. Instead of screaming, killing, fighting, burning, rioting, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you just say all lives matter and let's all be human beings? Let's all try to get along. That's the moral compass. And from a shaman's point of view, he was in charge of the tribe. He helped care of Delaney. My granny Medea moved to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin from Linden. I've been to Linden, Alabama in 1953. I was born in 52, Delaney. She moved 100 families to Wisconsin before Selma popped off. Been to Selma, too. My granny Medea worked for Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Common and opened for a few years. I just did a video about that subject last night. The beauty of it is it always comes back around. Thank you, Delaney. You got a lot of wisdom, girl. That's all I got to say. One of these days, maybe we'll all get together and have a cup of coffee and a donut and say, thank you, Bob. Oh, and speaking of coffee, I'm going to take a quick sip here. It's been an hour and I promised I was not going to make this a long video. But I think I've stated enough to where, yes, free will. Yes, we can manifest things. Yes, we can create things. But morally, should we? And what says that I'm king of the mountain and that everybody should follow my free will, my point of view? No, we all should think for ourselves. We can agree on a lot. That's why we're the soul tribe. We can agree on a lot of things and still be different. That's the league of like-minded beings. That is all of us with the creator. That's the whole universe. We understand, well, you know, you grew up down there in the South where grits and collard greens are common. I grew up here in Wisconsin and in the land of the lakes and up here. And, you know, we eat all kinds of weird sauerkraut and stuff like that because there's a lot of Germans up there, you know, or whatever. My granny was German, so was my grossmother. She was German. If my granny was German, then grandmother should have been German, right? But anyway, she got over here just before the war, after World War II, after World War I, but before World War II. Anyway. But the idea, though, that, you know, there are folks back in the day that hated Germans horribly. You're German? Now, we don't think about it that way. But after World War II and World War I, you know, Germans, oh, my God, you're from Germany? Oh, you know, it was like this. And, well, I'm a German Jew. Well, if you're Jewish, we'll let you in. But, you know, there were several people I knew around here that were German, and they tried so very hard to get rid of their accent. And a good friend of mine, there's some windows over here by the stairs that came out of their house they gave me. And so I talked with the mother and I said, you know, she goes, well, I was you know, around during World War II. And yes, ma'am. And she said, some very bad things happened to us German girls. And I was like, really? And she said, by our own soldiers, by our own people. Really? And because I was like, oh, you know, the GIs, they came in. And she goes, no, the GIs were great. It was our own German SS and the Luftwaffe and all that, who would, you know, they could, if they wanted to have sex with you, you know, they just said, you're coming with me. And she was at the age of like 14 was forced into a brothel. Can you imagine their own country? That, I mean, you know, so people have gone through a lot of stuff, whether it's German or, you know, the Chinese people who have been through so much, some of the Japanese people. Oh my God, the persecution and the things that have happened. When we study other cultures, when we broaden our horizon, when we open up our minds in reality, when we tear down the box that we're supposed to think out of and look at the bigger picture. Like Hawk says, when I pulled those cards, our morals change. And we go, you know what? I don't think that's right either. You know, they do that to little girls in China or whatever. The Japanese, they still bundle the girls' feet and do the hob. What? Yeah, they still do the vaginal circumcision thing for women. And what? You know, and you say, well, it's a custom down there, and you know, it's okay. You know, but is it morally right? Now that we understand the bigger picture, is it morally right? Simply because we have a free will, we should check it at the door and go, I have a free will, but before I use it, I'm gonna think about this for a minute and allow the spirit to tell you maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you should. Now there are a lot of people that are sitting on the fence going, well, I don't want to talk about this. Well, tell your you know, I'm still listed as a Democrat and don't know if I want to be, quote, a Republican. I vote for the person I think is right. I've known some Republicans that I just, I ain't going to vote for you. But at the same time, there are people, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If your point of view is correct, then I'll vote for you. I vote for more intelligence in what you're doing and what you have of value. But the idea, though, that I'm going to vote for you simply because you're a Democrat, yeah. Now I got to say that I did not vote for the Bushes. You know, back in the day, Papa Bush nor his son Georgie. But and you know, I might not have liked the Democratic pick, but I was like, man, there ain't nobody else going to win. You know, so I'm going to pick them. Um, But, you know, that was a few years back. And now, you know, now I'm like, I don't care if this guy ain't got a rat's chance in hell. There might be a bunch of us thinking the same thing. He's an independent. Well, okay. He ain't got a rat's chance in hell. Let's all vote for him. Hey, Truth and Me, how are you? So, but we have the free will. Go out and vote. Stay away from the postal service and try to get into the polls. Do that. Make a physical attempt and show people that you don't have any fear. If you got to wear a mask, do so. Let's all be compliant in that respect. But use your free will and go and vote in person. Go and do things that you know is morally right. Don't let people you push you aside. Well, you know, you shouldn't do that. You know, well, you know, we should all vote by mail now, and we should all do this, and that's your free will. And you can ask me, suggest it to me, but please don't force your opinion upon me. Your free will says you're going to convince me that I'm wrong. And my free will says I'm going to sit here and smile sweetly and go, okay, all right, sure. And I'm going to make up my own mind using the values and the morals and the mores of the planet. And the general, let's think about the one universal law, do no harm. It fits almost everything. Delaney Pearl, hey, Joyce R. Us, hi there, golly. I noticed that you just joined. Blessings to you. And Truth in Me. And there are several people here at 3:42 in the morning Eastern Daylight Time. But, you know, there are so many different things that I guess in a way kind of pissed me off, I guess, to be honest about it. In that I look at these folks who are exercising their free will and I go, where is their humanity? Where is their common sense? Did God give these folks a brain? Are they sitting on a brain? I mean, did you know? I just go. What happened in the grand scheme of things? What happened to these poor people's brains? And what happened to the morality, where they think they can just get away with it? And you know, all white people are fascists, and all white people are Nazis, and all this and that, and blah 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 blah. And you know, the Kamala Harris thing. Oh my God, she's a black lady. Well, no, she's Chinese and this and that. I know other people who are a lot anyway, but oh, let's play the race card. Oh, let's do this. And oh, I just want to say, please, just would the Almighty shine a little bit of glitter light on you and let you open up your eyes and go, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? Now, something folks have been talking about for a while, red pill, blue pill. Well, here's the thing. There are people who have taken the pill, but they haven't swallowed it. In other words, here, I'm going to give you a pill, and they still have it in the palm of their hand. Well, I took the red pill. Did you? Well, yeah. Did you swallow it? Oh, Delaney, I saw the Shaman resin yesterday, and they took it off. I said so in my video. I said, if you looked at a Shaman, either their machines out or the planet's off, and they literally erased that part of what I saw yesterday. That was like 20 something hours of this weirdness. I think their machine was cuckoo. And I just checked. Now, I haven't checked it in the last 2 or 3 hours, but I checked it earlier today, and it was back to sort of normal. But yesterday, when I saw it, and that must have been the machine, because they literally deleted all of what I saw yesterday. It's just gone. So, but I haven't seen Mr. BB's thing, and I usually check him out too. Hence the term ass hats. Yes, truth in me. Schumann is the popping. Here, hold on what you're all are talking about here. Let me flip over here to this other little tab and click on it to see what y'all be chatting about here. Because I swear, I check it times a day to see what's going. Nah, that's not popping. It's got a couple of little thingies going on. But that's actually kind of sort of more normal than not, especially here recently. To me, popping goes on for like an hour, and these are only like 5 or 10 minutes when I look down here at the bottom of the chart. So yes, it's kicking off down there at the bottom, but I've seen it a whole lot. I mean, just and the background noise. But if you're not used to looking at the Schumann, you would think then it's really popping off. About 3 days ago, there were these great big wide gaps that were hours wide. That to me is the Schumann's popping off. It's all our interpretation, right? But if you haven't been watching it, and I've been watching it for the last 3 years, it's like, we got a couple of spikes. Yeah. Popping off is like hours wide and it fills up the screen. But anyway. Couple of years ago, I was the same. Oh my God, the Schumann's going crazy. And then I'd go, wait a minute, this is actually kind of normal. It happens periodically, and then they spike. Yeah. And then when it pops off and it's this wide and green, and anyway, my 10 cents on that. But again, observation. And the moon tonight is way up overhead. So in the last 4 days, we went from being able to see the moon consistently out that window right there to now I have to go outside, which is not a bad thing, to be able to see the moon. So I was talking about how the Earth wobble had stabled, and now it seems like it's just gone haywire this last few days. And also Mars and Jupiter, Jupiter and Saturn are in a different position. They were a little lower in the sky, which would have lifted the moon. And the moon and Jupiter and Saturn were like, a few days ago, the moon went right through Saturn and the moon kind of thing. And now it's way up overhead, and Jupiter and Saturn are still over here. So some weird things going on in the universe. And that's the point. We can keep an eye on this, and what one person considers, ooh, the Schumann's popping. We've got a couple spikes, but if had seen it about 3 or 4 days ago. It was blasting, and I wished I could share screenshots. This new computer don't like to take screenshots. Drat it! I'm going to have to get me another Chromebook, I reckon. But anyway, the universe has got 50 waves of energy, and there's cosmic energy coming from here, and we're getting spikes from Sagittarius and this thing and that. Of course, we live in the universe. There's all kinds of stuff going on around us. Don't be freaked out about it, but we should be aware, like when the Shaman really does pop and you've had weird feelings or, your energy level, and like earlier today, I just felt tense for some reason. And I, was thinking about going camping, but the tents weren't in that. Never mind. Tents, camping, tents, never mind. Bad joke. Bad. It's early in the morning or late at night, depending. But the idea, though, that my point of view, your point of view, somebody else's point of view, where we grew up, let's take that into consideration for other people. Oh, Joyce, you was thinking about a few days ago, actually. Yes, it was really popping then. You're right. Right now, it's just neat. But yes. I've been watching the Shaman for a long time, and there are people who get, they'll send me a message. Oh, look at the Shaman right now. It's going crazy. And I look at it and go, no, it ain't. You think it's going crazy because you haven't been watching it as much as I have. 3 years ago, I would have agreed with you. Now I go, that's just background noise. It doesn't mean it's still not happening, and it does mean that we are being affected. If the entire planet, and that's what it means, the Shaman, this is after stuff hits us and the Earth is reacting. So if Mother Earth is reacting and making the graph go nuts, what about the rest of us? Now, one of the things we need to keep in mind is that I watch it in real time. Every hour or so, I re-up it and see if we're going through any spikes or whatever, especially if I'm feeling like out of sorts or a little weird. Now, consequently, I'll look at, a day or so ago, I was having a really down time. And I wasn't depressed or anything. I just, God almighty, I was sleeping. I couldn't wake up. Blah, blah, blah. And I looked and there was a slump in the Shaman. So I was like, So don't know if it was related, but from my period of being knocked out and the time, there was a slump in the Shaman. So the Earth wasn't affecting me. And before, when it was wacky, I was outside doing stuff at 4 a.m. in the yard, using the weed eater and shit. And so it's like, so it does affect us. We should keep an eye on it, but we shouldn't panic, because none of us know how these energies are affecting us. But what we can do and should do is like, wow, I feel a little weird. What's the Shaman up to? And if you're feeling cranky and all tense and stuff, and if the Shaman's like off the charts and going, you can go, ooh, cause and effect. But then there are times when you're going to feel all cranky, stressed, or whatever, tense, and you're going to look at it and go, it ain't spiking. Oh, so the Shaman resonance is not the excuse for my feeling tense every time. Well, it's the Shaman. I've heard people do that. It's the Shaman. That's why I feel this way. Really? Well, I've been watching it, and it ain't what you're saying, But it's all a matter of perspective. It's all, point of view. But at the same time, let's use some common sense and go, wait a minute. Let me observe this for the next 2 weeks to find out whether or not, me and the Shaman are having any kind of thing. Now, each of us have biorhythm. If those of you out yonder have not checked into biorhythm charts, you should. They're free online. You give your birth date and the biorhythm. There's one for mentally, physically, and spiritually kind of thing. And one of them runs on the cycle of the moon. One's a little, let's see, one's 28, one's 30, and I think the other one's 31 or 2 or 3 days. Anyway, so from the time that you were born, they all start out the same. But then as they go along, one's up and one's down. Now, back in the late 60s and early 70s, when I found out about biorhythm charts, and you had to send off and get these cards and a little thing. Anyway, but the Japanese had already figured out that they did, for all of the people that were doing public transportation or any kind of crane operators or something like that, they did biorhythm charts on their employees. And if your biorhythm was down at the bottom on 1 or 2 lines, you didn't work that day. You didn't drive. And they noticed a significant drop in accidents by simply watching the biorhythms of their employees. This was back in the 60s and 70s. People don't give a crap about biorhythms, and I know that there's one of mine that goes along with the moon. New moon is horrible for me, and I try not to look at it. I try not to pay any attention to it. But when new moon comes around, one of my blinds is down here in the bottom, and I just suck ass during the first part of new moon. And if if one of them other lines is mixed in with it, forget it. But I've learned to live with it over the years, and I do, well, crap, new moon's coming up. Let me not think about it. Let me try to stay up, and let me try to, but there's still one of those biorhythm charts, or, one of my rhythms corresponds with the moon, as we all do. But check it out, because if you want to know what's going on with your life, check your biorhythm. People are worried about cosmic energies when they're not even paying enough attention to their own biorhythm. Their own rhythms linked to the cosmic, yes. So if you're having a low day and the other energies are low or whatever, or high, depending on, you can draw a little bit of a correlation and go, well, now that's interesting as hell. And if anything, there are times when I just can't explain the way I feel. But then when I go to biorhythm and check this, a lot of this convergence, I go, well, no wonder I felt like crap. So anyway, biorhythm is on the new phones. Is it really true to me? That is the thumbprint that you willing to give the algorithms. Security stuff. I don't know about that. But I know that I typed in biorhythm and it gave me a chart for the month, just like it would give you, an astrology thing. So, but I don't know about the apps. I don't have a cell phone. I lied. I do have a cell phone. It's just not plugged in. It's sitting over here on the desk. I just have no value in it. But anyway, so the people that things are worried about with some of these things, they're not even checking their own physical well-being. And they're so worried about the external everything. So wait a minute, maybe this stuff is just in me. Maybe it's my own, maybe it's me, this cause and effect. But anyway, listen, my friends, it's almost 4 in the morning. I got a new one and hate it. Your phone, yep, is used to lock and unlock the phones. Yeah, we'll just really intensely dislike it. Yeah, the older phone that I have, it had to update every 2 or 3 times a day, and it had to do this, and I wouldn't turn on the GPS, and it would send me warnings. Your app needs this, and your thing needs that, and it was running so slow because of just the phone apps itself, not adding anything, was keeping this phone so tied up. I was like, what the hell is going on with it? I don't want none of this shit running in the background. I would turn it all off. I'd go into the settings, And then the phone would quit working, it would shut off, and then it would reboot and then everything and turn everything back on again. And I'd go, nah, this thing ain't for me. And that was many moons ago. So now with these new phones and some of the things, and now you can't take the battery out, now you can't do this, and now you can't do that. I'm not having one. I might get a burner phone, but I ain't having a smart aleck phone. Let me tell you, my friends, I love you. I do. Thank you, Joyce, for joining. Thank you for hanging out. I'm going to make this quick. It's only an hour and a half long instead of 3 hours. It's also 4 in the morning, and I'm going to try to get some stuff done tomorrow during the daytime. It's going to be 98 in the shade, though, so it's going to have to go in and out of the sunshine and try to stay cool. Come on, fall. Man, my birthday is September 24th. And the first day of fall is September 23rd or 22nd. It fluctuates. But anyway, so when my birthday comes, I can say, yes, sir, we're now in fall. Doesn't mean it's going to be any cooler, mind you. Sleep well. Thank you, Truth in Me. Yes, pretty late here too. All right. So thank you, my friends. I love you. And I'll close with a prayer as always. But just keep in mind when people talk about free will and stuff, be kind when you talk to them and go, so this free will thing, huh? What about your morals and morality? And just ask them, what would you do in this situation? What if this were you, or what if this were your family? Just, don't hit them with you're wrong. Just hit them with a question, and let them think it out. My son Jeremiah is 12 on the 5th, same as Freddie Mercury. Yeah, Freddie was great, wasn't he? There was a lot of things I didn't understand about Freddie first on, as far as his antics and this, that, and the other thing. But one thing is absolutely for sure. He was a pure performer through and through. And the music that he did, I mean, I take my time, no pleasure cruise. I ain't trying, and I'm gonna lose. But anyway, we are the champions is what's running through my head at the moment. This has been fun. I think I'll thank you, Joyce, for hanging out with us. Yeah, I have the same birth date as Jim Henson, which was interesting because, I too spent many years with puppetry. Wasn't near as famous as him, but, and I always wanted to go to go and apprentice with the Hensons. I just think that would have been great. I may be a little too old to do it now, but, I've got 150 puppets in my collection. And I don't, only one or two might even resemble something that Jim Henson would do. But anyway, so thank you all. Da Muppets. Yes, ma'am. Mine were called Da Boneheads. Yep. You're a dumb bonehead and I'm a dense bonehead. Yep. The Boneheads. And there were Sherlock Bones. Yeah, he was a good character. Yeah, me and the Boneheads had a great time. Wow. Can you show them to us at some point? Yes, they're locked up in a trailer up there. I don't have any room to bring them in here right now. I'm still cleaning another person's stuff out of my house, And so my house was had some room in it until this person moved in a year ago. And now that they're gone, I still have all their stuff and trying to move it out so I can move just a little bit of my stuff back in. But yes, the answer is yes. I need to get the puppets out. And if nothing else, just say, here's this puppet. This is how I made him and like that. But they require me to hang them in here and this and that. And I still got a little bit of cleaning to do. Love you, Delaney. Thank you for all that you do. Joyce, my mom used to call me something. I got to put my glasses back on. Knucklehead. Remember that character? Knucklehead. No, I don't remember Knucklehead. Actually, Joyce? From where? From what? It was a puppet character? Knucklehead. Man, I thought I knew all. I remember Farfel the dog. Nestles, Nestlings makes the very best chocolate. Remember? That was Farfel. So, but Knucklehead, no. Walter Winchell and Mahoney. Oh, Knucklehead was one of his. Oh, no, I don't remember Knucklehead, actually. And, who was the other guy that, uh, the old man and, I don't think it was Walter Winchell. Maybe it was. He never tried, he never tried to be a ventriloquist. You could see his mouth moved and nobody cared, and I loved it. I loved it because everybody got the fact that it was him and then there was the puppet. Do any of you remember Madam? Yeah, it was a puppet, right? Madam with Waylon Flowers. You talk about he was screaming. He died way too early, but that was funny. I mean, now we've got Jeff Dunham, and he's really great. Let me tell you. But there were some puppeteers and ventriloquist type folks over the years, and that back in the vaudeville days and stuff that just would make you wet your pants. But anyway, and in my performances, I remember many little kids wetting their pants after I did a show. Paul Winchell. There was somebody else, Walter. I'll have to check on that, Joyce. No wonder if all these guys. What? No wonder if all these guys are on YouTube. Yeah. Paul Winchell? I thought it was Walter Winchell. Anyway, Joyce, thank you for the thought, though. Hey, 65 Starlight. Sending best wishes from UK and sending best wishes back to you, my friend, and hoping everything's okay in the UK. Sorry, 65. I'm getting ready to cut out. I wonder if they have any shows that you were speaking of. Maybe. I'll have to do the Walter. I got this this person in mind, and I remember the Mahoney, and I'm trying to remember. I'll just have to do some. I got a book on puppets and things up there. Mahoney was one of the puppets. I just Googled it. Yeah. And it was Paul Winchell. Honest to goodness, Joyce, it was Paul. Boy, but see, my mind is like, well, then I got somebody else mixed up with that. Hope all y'all we're doing as well as possible, Starlight. How's the UK doing, by the way, since we're all talking here? Jerry Mahoney and Knucklehead Smith. And it was Paul Winchell, huh? Wow, I got that one wrong. I'm thinking of somebody else, though, is why I got it confused. Starlight, do you ever listen to I'm trying to think of his name. It's Connecting Consciousness. Why can't I think of his name off at top of my head? It's late. It's early or something. Anyway, he's in UK, and also Miles Johnson and over there in the UK. I listen to them regular, and a couple other folks in the UK. So Um, when stuff happens, stuff over here, I think about y'all over there going, man, and I watch stuff that you folk go through over there in the UK and other places, and I think, man, that shit's coming to us too. So we do share a lot in that respect. Life has changed, yes, no, but I will look it up. Um, Miles Johnson is he's got the Basis Project, and he travels around different places in the UK, and they do UFO. Well, not so much UFO conferences, but interesting stuff like that. But he's in the UK, and Simon Parks is his name, and he ran for some type of political office there in the UK many years ago, and he has admitted on live TV and stuff that he had ETs for godparents kind of thing, and specifically manted, and but connecting consciousness and those folks over in the UK and all. Yeah, the UFO guy, yeah, but there's a lot of information going on that I picked up from Miles and from Simon Parks that folks over here in the United States just haven't got a clue. They're not looking at the bigger picture. Joyce says we got to focus on the intention we want for the world, manifest freedom and peace. Yep. And we have to continue to be a shining example. It's really difficult, but the more we are what we preach, the more we become the light, the more folks are just, they might not agree with us, but they're going to turn their heads and go, wow, that person's changed. I know a lot of folks that, considered me, and I was, to be honest, I was way too loud, and my point of view sometimes was overbearing, and well, what the hell's wrong with you people? And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. No wonder nobody likes me, or no wonder everybody thinks I'm mad all the time, because that was my outward appearance that I was showing to everybody. But that's not really how I felt. So I had to stop and look at myself really well and go, I don't want people to remember me like that. I have the free will to change that. I found the link for Knucklehead. I'll have to look it up. Yes, let's just keep it on working on the Soul Tribe. We keep getting more members. Joyce, you're a new member to my channel here. 65 Starlight, Truth Light, and me and other folks. We've been hanging around and in and out of different chat rooms and channels. And I think we're making a difference because more of us are starting to look at the simple things and going, we can do better than this. And and screaming and jumping up and down, it just makes us look bad. So we got to keep up with what we're doing. We got to keep putting good information out there. Delaney Pearl's always all putting stuff out there, and I wasn't going to do a video tonight. It's 4 in the morning at 4:12 actually. It was 4:11. But we have to keep putting out good things to the universe. So as much as I'm pissed off about some things, I will immediately turn around and go, well, this might bug me, but we got to do better. We're going to pray more for folks for enlightenment. I don't want the great hand of God to come down and change everybody's mind and go, no, you can't think that way. No, I want the sparkle of light to come down from the universe and get some of these people and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I've been looking at this wrong. Let me think about this, and maybe I will change my mind. That's what I want. It's 111 there. Just where I do not get a copy, to get a copy strike. Oh, by posting a link or something. That's okay. I'll look it up. But thank you for your participation. And 65 Starlight, I wish I could hang out a little longer. But I got to go. I'm tired. It's an hour and 45 minutes now. Blessings to all of you. And I send peace and love to all them folks over in the UK too. I thought I was going to get to visit over there one of these days, but the older I get, maybe not. But Truth in Me, Joyce, thank you for joining it for us tonight and also for the subscription. We love you all. We do. Have a great weekend. It's a long weekend here in the States. I don't know how it is in the UK. Thank you, Truth. Do they do the Starlight? Do they do the Labor Day weekend over there in the UK? Just wondering. Good night. Thank you. See y'all soon. Yes, hope so. Um, but we got a long weekend coming up. Nope, they don't. Okay, got it. All right, sweeties. Until next time. It's a long weekend here for us as well. Yep. Be safe, whether it's a long weekend or a short one. Night Delaney. Hey, Ryan Duvall. I have a great Saturday, Hawkeye. You too, Ryan. And I've not seen you in the chat before. It is a pleasure to see you and blessings your way. And until next time, my friends, even in the middle of the night, we get a little bit of group to come together and chat. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept, receive, and reject the chaos. Accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Continue to share it and reject that chaos. Keep your strength. Remember, we do have a free will. Everybody does, but it does come with a point of view. So keep that morality alive. Pass it along, pass it around. Welcome and good night. Ed Ryan, thank you, Truth and Me, and all of your relations as well. From South Georgia, TTFN. Bob, we thank you for a good show. And we got coffee here. Ween, everybody, 65 Starlight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Always, always, always. And to all the you new folks who have come on for me and subscribe to this channel, I continue to pray and thank you. Blessings. We're all part of this. We're all part of this together. We're all members of members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, and we are the Soul Tribe. So keep it up. Thank you. Be safe. Keep it between the ditches. And until next time, peace out.